Lately, comics have been experimenting with different formats. The Black Label format from DC, soon to be published Disney publishing of Marvel Comics, will have a different size. So, is this a good thing? There's a couple different opinions on it, and I'll go through them. Hey there, this is Perch. Talking about comic sizes, which is a boring topic, I'm sure to a lot of people, but comics have been printed in a traditional size, kind of an offbeat. I should know. It's been a long day, so I don't have the exact inches off the top of my head, but many people would, and they will put it in the comments below and call me an idiot. But anyway, so my comments are wonderful. The people who give comments, I'm very thankful to, and 99% of the time they're very nice. But anyway, comics are a certain size, and with that certain size, they have built up bags and boards and boxes and other things to store and keep and collect them. And for a while, it's died off now, but for a while, you could go into places like Aaron Brothers. If you're not familiar with that, that's a framing store. And they had frames that fit comics, and they had mats that would fit comics. So people could actually take comics that they really liked, they could put them in a bag, they could get a mat for it, they get a little frame for it, and put it on the wall. And when done properly, it's a pretty awesome art piece. Actually, I've got some of those myself, and I flip out the comics from time to time, so it freshens up the picture. The comic is very well protected. It's in plastic and behind glass, and I don't put it in a high sun area. So it's a cool way to display some of your comics and to keep it fresh. But anyway, I'm not making that a plug for anything. But my point in all this is that these industries have been set up to basically have comics and promote them in a certain way and store them in a certain way, and even the shelf on the comic book store in a certain way. And so these new sizes are not necessarily being embraced by retailers and by buyers. So on one hand, Black Label books, the Harleen or the Superman Year One with Frank Miller, these titles are on one hand it's nice. People come in, it's a bigger format, bigger size. I've heard some of the artists comment about how happy they are. Dan Sadian, maybe not him actually. One of the guys was talking about how having that extra space just gives artists kind of it's reinvigorating for them. It's giving them something new to do and to fill the page, and it's just kind of exciting as an artist to have this bigger canvas to work off of. And I get that, and I think that's pretty cool. And you see that come out on the page. You see some excitement from the people who are using this format. It's bigger, looks cooler. On the other hand, though, it's like I said, it's hard to store. It doesn't fit on the shelves like other things. It becomes this offbeat thing. And I know for a fact that some stores are under ordering on the Black Label books simply because it doesn't fit on the shelf like normal. They can't store it like normal. So they're having to think about it in terms of like a graphic novel. Where am I going to put it in the store? And they're just ordering less. It becomes something that is just kind of difficult to stock, and so they order less of it. And that is a big hiccup over time, and it's why comics have experimented with different sizes over the years, but frequently they'll come back to just going right back to the normal sized page. And it's because from a distribution perspective, it just provides an extra wrinkle on all fronts. On the from Diamond's side on shipping it out, to the comic store for placing it, and to the buyer, the customer, who then has to figure out, where do I put these things? It doesn't fit in a long box. There's not a bag and board that is really designed to fit this thing. So what do I do? How do I keep this comic safe? I knew this guy used to wrap kind of all the oversized books, the comics, the things that didn't fit into the bag and board that you could buy readily, in saran wrap. And my suspicion is that does not work. That's a bad idea. But I've never seen. Who knows? Maybe that's a great solution. I don't know. I think it would get hot and then stuff would stick to the page, and it would. I just think I don't know. Doesn't sound like a good plan, but anyway, that's what he would do. So, will we see more of these? I mean, the answer is yes. I think one interesting thing the comic industry is going through right now is just a general struggle with itself over what it wants to be. Does it want to be a collector's market? Does it want to be a mass market approach? And I think from Disney's standpoint, they're their owners or the Disney publishing standpoint, they look at it in terms of volume. And I can tell you, some of these conversations are taking place behind the scenes, which is, why are we making things to support the direct market at the expense of the mass market? I think there was an interesting conversation that I was having with an old colleague who works in that orbit there, who was saying that there's nobody at people at Disney are not wanting to kill off the direct market. They value the comic stores. In fact, there are questions about how can we take more ownership over the comic store, and how can we maybe have a direct relationship rather than one through Diamond, or they don't even Diamond doesn't even make sense in the Disney world. It makes sense in the old comic world, but not in the Disney world. So how do we put more of our products there? How do we turn this into more of a pop culture store rather than a pure comic store? I mean, these discussions are thought through. But at the same time, it's like, are we making decisions in the page size or the format or other things that appeal to collectors or appeal to the direct market, but do not necessarily appeal to a 8-year-old at Target who wants a comic, or getting something on the store, on the shelves in Walmart? Is the old traditional size and page count work in a Walmart world, or should it be bigger? What size should the graphic novels be? And you'll notice, by the way, with graphic novels, with stuff that's coming from Japan or stuff in the US or just stuff that's been published in general, you'll see a lot more variety of size. You'll see smaller formats, you'll see bigger formats, you'll see all kinds of different experiments with graphic novels. And part of that is to get attractive shelf placement and get good promotion of those books. So part of it is the physical packaging of the graphic novel. But comics have not experimented nearly as much. And so I think you will see more of that. But the consequence is that people are going to have to become comfortable with the idea that as a collector, you're going to have to do some pretty custom things to store it and keep it, because the old established model is going to break down for things like Black Label and other books. But anyway, so that's somebody asked me to talk about this topic and talk through it. That's kind of what's going on. That's what the future holds, and that's why it's both a cool thing for artists to do something new and also a pain for collectors and retailers to provide. But all in all, it's nice to try new things, and this is how we learn, and this is how we get some variety, and that's a good thing. I think in all counts, you'll hear me consistently say that trying new experiments and trying new things is a positive, even if they're not always intuitive. It's good to try new things. So why the whole crowdfunding thing, it's good right now to try some different styles. Some of those efforts are better than others, and some of the attitudes and the personalities and the communities around these things are better than others. But yeah, all in all, more comics equals good. So more of that. Hope this was helpful. If you have any other questions on the topic, leave me a comment. Would love to hear your opinions and what you'd like me to talk more about. If you do have some ideas, follow me on Twitter at Comic Perch. Like and subscribe if you don't mind. It helps the channel, helps me know if I'm doing something right or wrong. And thanks for listening.